What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and lately some people have been accusing me of going too soft on Billie Joe. And rightfully so. I understand why people feel that way. Because I've been pretty harsh on Billie Joe throughout my coverage of the Quinton Simon case. But when it came down to it and we were finally getting to the point where arrests were being made, I stated that I didn't need to see Billie Joe arrested. I don't think that it's necessary. Now, don't get me wrong. If Billie Joe was arrested tomorrow, I would not lose a single wink of sleep behind it. I wouldn't advocate for her to be free, and I would understand why she had been charged with neglecting those children and things of that nature. I understand why people want Billie Joe to be held accountable. I understand that technically Billie Joe had custody of those kids, so she was responsible for those kids, and that those kids should not have been left with Leilani. I understand all of those talking points. I don't disagree with any of those talking points. My point is that me personally, seeing Billie Joe locked up for this wouldn't fulfill any need or want inside of my mind, body, or soul. It wouldn't do anything for me. Seeing Leilani behind bars and knowing that Quinton Simon was found, that is enough for me. I understand other people want more. I understand why other people want more. But if I'm to be honest with you all, I don't feel that need in my soul for her to be, arrested or thrown behind bars for this situation. But like I said, I understand why people feel that way. Also, I can't help but feel like wanting to hold Billie Joe accountable, while it's understandable, I feel like it takes some of the blame in a way off of Leilani. I understand the technicalities of who had custody over who, but at the end of the day, you should be able to leave these kids with their mother without her killing one of them. So when you start pointing the finger at Billie Joe, even though I understand why, at the same time, it's like you're almost making an excuse for Leilani. It's like you're almost taking some of the blame off of Leilani. You're taking some of the responsibility off of Leilani. For instance, if I asked one of you all, one of my subscribers, hey, can you babysit my dogs over the weekend? And you kill my dog. I mean, yeah, the argument should have been had that why are you having your YouTube subscribers babysit your dog? You don't know anything about them. That's true. But at the end of the day, you're the one that killed my dog. You understand what I'm saying? So I understand wanting to hold Billie Joe accountable, but at the same time, I don't necessarily need that. And at the same time, I feel like it, and I know people aren't doing this intentionally, but it's almost like giving Leilani a pass for her actions. Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like Leilani is 100% responsible for what happened regardless. Like Billie Joe should have been able to leave those kids with Leilani. But I understand where people are coming from. But also, when I made those comments, it was because I've been on the fence about Billie Joe this entire time. I've been covering this case since day one. And I know that Billie Joe was the first person, literally, pointing the finger at her daughter. When we were still in the stage of trying to get the facts right, okay, what time did Quinton go missing? What day was it? When we're still trying to get all of those facts together, Billie Joe was already on the news like, yeah, I don't trust anything my daughter says. She was the first one to basically name her daughter as the suspect. We wouldn't have been, eventually we would have looked at Leilani, but from the get-go, Billie Joe was the one that was like, yep, my daughter is not to be trusted. And then everyone worked from there. So a lot of people have been feeling like Billie Joe has been trying to protect Leilani from being held accountable this whole entire time, when that's not necessarily the case. Have there been bad decisions made? Yes. Partying at the beach, not a good idea. I understand why you get the impression that she was trying to defend Leilani, because she was trying to defend her household and various things were happening. But, I was always on the fence, like, all right, Billie, like, do you really want your daughter to be held accountable if it turns out she's guilty? Or are you really trying to defend her and skate by through all of this? And everyone feels a different way about it. But at the end of the day, when it came down to it, Billie Joe called the FBI and let them know that Leilani was checking out of rehab and she was probably going to go on the run. And then Billie Joe personally delivered Leilani to law enforcement. And I can't quote her, but at the time she was talking about how she wants justice for Quinton and she wants Leilani to be held accountable and all of these things. But now it seems as if things have changed, because now Billie Joe is saying that she thinks Leilani should take this to trial. And I mean, Billie Joe, that is the worst advice you could give Leilani right now. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't care what happens to Leilani, but if I were like a legal advisor, if I was like a lawyer or something for Leilani and Billie Joe, I would definitely not want to take this to trial. It would be in Leilani's best interest if she takes some type of plea deal, take some type of deal, because if you go to trial and you're found guilty, 99% of the time you're going to get a harsher judgment, if not the harshest judgment possible. And a lot of people have been talking about the death penalty and all types of things when talking about this case. And Billie Joe went from saying, yeah, I want justice for Quinton, and Leilani's going to have to, face the consequences of this and that. And now she's acting as if, well, Leilani's probably not guilty. But, I understand that's your daughter and you want to give your child the benefit of the doubt. But in what reality did Leilani not do this? If this was a different case and there were so many possibilities and questions out there, then yeah, I would be giving my daughter the same advice. But we know law enforcement has evidence of you going to a trash dump, and we know that Quinton was found in the landfill. So it's not like this is a case where there's all of these open-ended possibilities of what could have happened. It's pretty much obvious what happened here. So, yeah, go ahead and go to trial, Leilani, and they're going to railroad the shit out of you. And I'll be happy to see it. I will be happy to see it. I know that much. But here's what Billie Joe had to say on one of these live streams. Because even though Quinton has been found, even though Leilani's behind bars, Billie Joe's still on YouTube. And I think she thinks some of these people are her friend. One of these YouTubers is supposedly going down to Savannah, Georgia to stay with Billie Joe. And that, it blows my mind, the type of people that you will find on YouTube. And I don't think Billie Joe realizes that she's being used right now for clout. Like, people are using you, literally you yourself, as a way to get more subscribers on YouTube. But Billie Joe had this to say. As a mother, I told Leilani, if she's telling me the truth, then take it to trial. I've taken charges that didn't belong to me. It was one of those bad decisions. Well, Billie Joe, you told Leilani as a mother the worst piece of advice that you could have ever possibly told her, and you have now solidified the fact that she is going to get the maximum punishment possible. You're giving your daughter this advice, and you don't even have your daughter a lawyer. Do you think Leilani is going to walk into court with a public defender and beat these charges? Not happening. Not happening. You've just ensured that your daughter gets the worst punishment possible. And even in this stream, these weirdos are in there talking about the death penalty. And I have to show you this comment because what in the hell are these people? There are some sick, twisted weirdos on YouTube. Here's the mentality of these people who are on this live stream talking with Billie Joe. The comment meant, in my opinion, that the death penalty would take Leilani's life, therefore putting her in heaven to be Quinton's mom. They're in here talking about the possibility that Leilani will get the death penalty. They're talking about this possibility with Billie Joe. Okay? And the mentality of these folks is, oh, well, if Leilani gets the death penalty and gets put to death, that's a good thing. Because then she'll be in heaven with Quinton, her son that she murdered. These people are idiots. These people are dark, twisted souls. I don't even know if they have a soul. I don't know what the hell is going on with these people, but that's their mentality. Well, if Leilani gets the death penalty and they kill her, she gonna be in heaven being Quinton's mom again. What? And now Billie Joe has taken it one step further, and she's saying that she doesn't believe that Leilani will get a fair trial in Chatham County. She is saying that she thinks this case should be moved elsewhere. That this case should be moved elsewhere. All because she thinks that there's no way there will be a fair trial for Leilani within Chatham County because of how big this case has gotten. Billie Joe is even going so far to contact state officials trying to change the venue for this trial. So it quickly changed from, oh, I want Quinton to get justice, I want Leilani to be held accountable, to, hey, how can we figure out how we can get Leilani the most, the fairest trial possible, while talking about the possibilities of her being innocent. And it's a rough one because for us, it's easy to be like, what? Because that's not our family. That's not our flesh and blood. That's not our child. So I don't necessarily 100% blame Billie Joe for what she's doing. But at the same time, this is totally different than the messages or the message that she got across when Leilani was arrested. So Billie Joe wanting this to go to trial, Billie Joe trying to make sure that this is a fair trial, I think that's Billie Joe hoping that Leilani is not found guilty. Correct? And if you want justice, if you really want justice for Quinton, why would you want Leilani found not guilty? Because all signs point towards her being guilty. And I would just want to ask Billie Joe, logically, not emotionally speaking, logically speaking, what else could have happened here? Logically speaking, when you're saying you want Leilani to take this to trial because you don't want her taking charges that aren't hers, then logically speaking, what the hell do you think happened here? Who should be in jail right now? What happened to Quinton? You have more insight than anyone. So what would the other options be? Because we know someone didn't come into your house and take Quinton and throw him in that landfill. So there's not many possibilities here. There's only a few. And then when you really start looking at the evidence and you really start boiling things down, there's only really one person who could have been responsible for this. But anything is possible. I will always say that. I've said from day one, I still want to hear more about what happened. I want to hear from the boyfriend. I want to hear from everyone that was inside the house that day. But for Billie Joe to be pushing this, her wanting Leilani to fight these charges, that means you're postponing justice for Quinton. And that makes me believe that you don't really care about justice for Quinton. Because if you did, then you would logically know, or logically be able to accept, that most likely your daughter is the culprit. But I want to know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Do you understand? I want you all to really place yourself in this position. I know you can't technically, but mentally try to place yourself in different positions before making an opinion about things sometimes. So I want to know down below, I know a lot of you are all going to be like, hell, lock her up, but what would you do in this situation? How do you feel about this situation? Do you at least understand why she wants Leilani to get a fair trial? Do you at least understand why she doesn't want to believe Leilani is guilty? Or do you think she's just being delusional? Do you think that she knows Leilani is guilty and she just doesn't want Leilani to be found guilty? I'm interested in hearing your logic and how you approach the situation and how you feel about the situation down in the comments below. There is no right or wrong answer here. Everyone has their different opinions, and I'm always open to different opinions. And just because I don't reply back to every comment doesn't mean that I don't read them. I always enjoy getting insight from you all about the topics that I talk about. So feel free to let it loose down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I will talk to you all in the next video. Follow me on Swag It.